If you're new to Gundam TCG or just starting at locals, this will save you hours of trial and error. Today, we're ranking the 4 of the top decks from the easiest to hardest so you can pick the one that matches your playstyle and your skill level. Some decks are super forgiving. You can make a couple mistakes and still win. Others, one wrong move and the game's over. We're ranking them based on 3 things: complexity, decision making, and how punishing mistakes are. This way, you'll know exactly what you're getting into before you spend time and money building this list. Because these cards are expensive, I don't want you to waste your money if you can't play a deck that you don't like or enjoy. To make this easier, we're going to talk about in the terms of the classic TCG pillars. If you played Magic, Pokemon, One Piece, Star Wars Unlimited, you've seen these before. You have Aggro. Aggro are fast decks that win by applying early pressure and ending the game before the opponent can stabilize. Think constant attacks, cheap units, and pushing damage every turn. Next we have Midrange. They're balanced decks that play both offense and defense. They're aiming to take over the game in the mid-game. These adapt to the matchup, sometimes aggression, sometimes defense. And lastly, you have Control. These are slower decks that stall the early game, control the board, and then win with powerful late game units. They thrive on patience and resource management. Every deck we're ranking today fits into one of these pillars, and where they land in difficulty has a lot to do with how each pillar plays. At the easiest spots, we have the green-blue One-Year War Aggro. This is your classic aggro deck. It's low-cost units, rest effects, and unblockable swings. Cards like Amuro can rest blockers so that the rest of your board can go through, hit the base, or hit the shields. And G-Fighter can combine with those effects to create unblockable game-ending pushes. The goal is very simple with this deck. End the game by turn 4 or 5 before your opponent's big threats even hit the board. You often win without ever seeing late game. That's the point of an aggro deck. Win early, it's all gas, no defense. Or very little defense. Mistakes are less punishing here. Even if you trade inefficiently, the sheer speed and pressure can still close out games. Now, a quick matchup tip. This deck loves slow opponents like Green-White Wing, but can struggle into aggro mirrors where both sides are racing. Sometimes it's just a matter of who hits that damage first, probably is going to win. And hey, if breakdowns like this help you pick the right deck, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my full beginner guides for each of these. And it doesn't cost you a thing, and I'll appreciate it. Thank you. Next, we're going to talk about white-blue blockers. This I would consider a mid-range deck with a little bit of soft control sprinkled in, which is alright. That was what mid-range decks do. There is some type of control element. Your early game is all about establishing walls with cards like Zarth and Ilfreth. From there, you splash in either Unicorn package for extra draws, rest effects, and a little removal. The Academy package is for utility pilots like Suletta, which boosts HP and frees up resources for big plays. You dominate the mid-game by forcing awkward trades, then flip into offense with finishers like Freedom. Matchup tip here, this deck crushes other mid-range lists but struggles against high maneuver units that bypass blockers entirely. It's forgiving, you can recover from a bad early play, but the real skill comes in knowing when to shift from defense into offense. That's the key mark of a good mid-range deck and a good mid-range player, knowing when to shift. Those first 2 decks are great for beginnings, but the next ones, they'll test your timing, matchup knowledge, and decision making. Let's move into the decks that demand a little more skill. So if you're new to TCGs or very casual into Gundam, I would start off with the first 2 decks. Now let's get rank 3. In the medium complexity, we have Blue, Red, Ping. This deck blends pressure with pinpoint removal. You'll use like Gun Tank to ping small threats off the board, or Kshatriya plus the Merida pilot to chip damage across multiple units while building your own attack. This deck is aggro with a little bit of tempo. The hard part is deciding when to commit to the board and when to hold back resources for removal. Push too early, you can run out of gas. Hold back too long and your opponent's late game takes over. Here's a nice matchup tip. This deck dominates low HP aggro strategies, but can struggle into white-blue blockers if those walls stick. You're forced into awkward trades or dead turns. Check out one of my last videos that I'll link in the description where I show the gameplay of how to play this deck. Now, an aggro/tempo deck like this rewards sharp decision makings. So they're great for players ready to ship beyond pure aggro. So this is the evolution of aggro. And finally, the hardest deck for casual players or new players I would consider is the green-white Gundam Wing deck. At its core, I would consider this a control deck. You survive early with blockers, you ramp into your mid game, and then slam massive threats like Wing Zero that wipe out the board while swinging in with high maneuver. Cards like Death Scythe paired with Duo make removing your threats a nightmare, and if you survive long enough, your board just snowballs out of control. Matchup tip. This deck thrives against mid-range lists and can be blown out by fast aggro before your engines are online. It's powerful, but to pilot it well, you'll need patience. You definitely need to understand how the matchups work, and it's very tight sequencing involved. Miss a key window to stabilize, and the game's over. You're done. GG. So let's recap. Here's a full ranking from easiest to hardest if you're a new player or just getting started with Gundam TCG. At the easiest, we have green-blue One-Year War Aggro, the classic aggro deck. So next hardest difficulty would say white-blue blockers. This is mid-range with soft control. These two decks are great for beginners starting Gundam TCG. At the third tier, which is a little bit harder, we have blue-red ping. This is a hybrid aggro and tempo deck. And then finally, we have green-white Gundam Wing. This is a control deck at its core. So if you're new, start with aggro or the mid-range. They'll help you learn the game without getting overwhelmed while still teaching you key fundamentals like sequencing and your resource management. Which one fits your style? Drop it in the comments. And if you want to see how red-blue ping deck works, I'll have a video in the description that shows the last gameplay footage of me playing that. But I do have several more videos coming out showcasing the gameplay footage of blue-red ping. It's actually a fun deck, but also stay tuned to the channel. We'll be dropping other videos of the other deck archetypes to help you players or casual players understand how to play these decks. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a good day. Peace.